Hi, and welcome back to Sprouting Spoon's online cooking classes. Because the weather is starting to change as we enter into October, we're going to be making fall-flavored things. And today we have a lovely sagey apple hand pie. And if you read our write-up, which has a lot of information about the history of hand pies, you'll see some information regarding the pastry being called coffin. How spooky, don't you think? For today's recipe, you're going to need about a pound of pork, ground, 1/2 of an onion, 1 apple, we're going to use a gala today, 2 cloves of garlic, 3 to 5 leaves of sage from our garden, 1 carrot that we've already got peeled up, 1 or 2 rolls of pie crust, store-bought is going to be okay for that, and an egg that we're going to beat up with a little bit of water. We're also going to need a couple extra special tools today. The elusive fork, about a 3-inch cookie cutter, and if you don't have that, you can just use a cup or a mason jar lid. Anything round will get you the shape that we need. Like usual for our onion, we're going to take and cut off the root end and the top end and discard all of this paper. Then we're going to take and cut our onion in half using a nice flat surface. We only need half, so we're going to get rid of half of that, and we're just going to peel off the outer layer of skin from the half we will use. Then we're just going to follow these lines, make nice little slits through, and we're going to follow back the other direction and make little dices like so. We're going to clean up the root end just a hair, waste not, want not, and then we're going to set that off to the side for later. For our carrot, we're going to cut off the very tip and the root end. Get those out of the way. Then we're going to take our carrot and find out where it changes size mostly and cut it in half. Then we'll go ahead and slice the smaller end directly in half, being very careful not to nick ourselves. And then we'll take this larger end and cut it in half one time and then a second. That'll ensure that pieces end up about the same size and that we can have a nice flat surface to cut on. We'll just then go ahead and slice it into a little bit more bite-sized pieces. And same with our lower half. We'll go ahead and put that with the onion as well. For our sage, we're going to line up the leaves on top of each other so we can slice through them all at once and get similar sizes. We're just going to do a quick roll in half and just run our knife through. Then we'll just use our knife and go back and forth over it once or twice, just to make the pieces a little bit more manageable for taking your bites. Alrighty, and then that can go back in with the carrots and onion. In a separate bowl, we're going to put our apple and our garlic. We're going to take our apple and cut around the core real quick. Again, making a nice flat surface. We'll use that as our base. Once you have all 4 cheeks, as it were, we're going to go and slice it into more accessible chunks and slice it down so we have about the same size as our carrots. If not, it's okay. It all cooks up and is nice and delicious anyways. The importance of nice even pieces, though, is that everything cooks about the same time. Again, make sure that you get some of those bigger slices cut in half. And then we'll just go ahead and make a nice little dice out of it. I like to keep the skin on there just for a little extra flavor, and it's a great source of fiber. And we'll set that off to the side for later. For our garlic, we're just going to come in here and give it a nice rough chop one way, and then we're just going to slice it a little thinner the other way. Make sure you pull that thumb back, you don't want to cut it. And once you have a rough chop, you can just go over it one more time, maybe twice. What's it hurt? And you'll go ahead and put that aside with the apple. So we're going to take a large skillet and heat it over medium to medium-high heat till it's nice and warm, and we're going to put in our pork. We're going to let that sizzle and brown, and as it does, we'll go ahead and season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. It's important to season at the beginning so that the flavors can really be brought out, as opposed to the end when your seasoning doesn't have time to absorb into the food. We're just going to break it down a little bit and let it brown. Once your meat is mostly brown, we're going to add in our onions, carrots, and sage. We're going to cook those while the meat finishes up browning, and then the carrots should be mostly tender, and the onion should be pretty translucent by that point, so probably about another 3 minutes or so. After your carrots have gotten a little soft and your onions have become translucent, we're going to add in our apples and our garlic. You can go ahead and do this off the heat because we don't really need anything other than that residual heat to cook them through, or at least to bring out the flavors of the garlic and get the apples nice and warm. And then you can set this off to the side for later to put inside of our little pies. For our pie crust, we're just going to use a pre-bought store pastry that we're going to then use our cookie cutter to cut little rounds out of. We're going to try to keep them nice and close together, that way we can get as many out of it. If you're feeling really ambitious, you're more than welcome to make your own pie crust. Might be able to get a little tiny portion out of this. We'll just have to cut the edges a little closer together. Oh, look at that, it works. And then usually those pre-bought ones have 2 packs. You can go ahead and roll out the second one and go ahead and cut that as well. To our little rounds, we're going to go ahead and put a nice big tablespoon or so of our filling inside. That might be a little much. You need to be able to flip them over like so. So make sure that with minimal stretching you can wrap it around just fine. And you're going to go ahead and do that to all of them. Make sure you get all those carrots and apples in each bite. It'd be a shame not to get all the flavors. You're probably going to have enough filling to do quite a bit more of this recipe than the 2 pie crusts. And that's okay, you can save it for later, or you could make one large pie. That would be a lot of fun for a little party or get together, or a nice family dinner. Once you have all the pie rounds filled with your filling, you're going to take 1 egg that's been beaten up with about 2 tablespoons of plain old tap water, and you're going to go ahead and dip your finger, 2 fingers in, and you're just going to rub the edges of your little pies around like so. And that's just going to help create a nice tight seal. And then, just like we showed earlier, we're going to just wrap with just a little bit of pressure around your pie to make sure that that filling is nice and snug in there. And then we're going to just take our fork, the mystery item of the day. We're just going to go around and make nice little crimps. This would be great to have a little kid do, because you can't really mess that up at all. And we're going to do that for all the pies and put them on a baking sheet, put them in a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. Once you have them all crimped, you're going to place them on a prepared sheet tray. You can either use pan spray or you can use parchment. And then we're going to just take a little bit more of our egg wash and just brush right on top. Then you're going to place them in a 350 degree oven for about 10 to 15 minutes until they're nice and golden brown. So we've pulled these out of the oven. It took about 5 extra minutes for us, but that just depends on how hot and regularly your oven cycles. And then we let them cool for about another 3 to 5 minutes. That way we don't scald our mouths on them. While we're here, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with all of your friends. These are going to be quite delicious, I'm sure of it. Even better than I thought. We'll catch you next time.